It's our top 5 most anticipated for Origins 2019 on our 40th episode of Chit Chat. The food is great, but we're mostly going to be talking about the games. We can't wait to hit the road and hope to see you there at a couple of the big events. Welcome back to Chit Chat. This is episode 40. We hit the big 4-0.
Ching.
10 more to the big 5-0. I think we'll do something a little special when we get to 50, right?
But we're not doing anything special.
But we're not doing anything special, but don't tune away right now.
Not entirely not special.
Not entirely not. That's very well said. Not really. Anyway, episode 40, we're going to be talking about Origins, because Origins is coming up. In fact, by the time this airs, Origins is what? Next week?
Yeah.
You'll have to forgive us, because right now we're in the past, but Origins is coming around the corner. We're going to talk about sort of our top 5 most anticipated games or things or whatever that's going to be coming to Origins, whether it's for sale, for demo, might just be the food over at North Market, who knows. But we're going to be talking about Origins. But first, we're going to talk about the winner from last episode.
Yeah, so this week's winner is Stephen Clark.
Yeah, Steven, just email us at manversusmeeple@gmail.com, and you will get your copy of Orbis. And comment below, everyone else, if you want to win a copy of Subtext.
Yeah.
So like I said, we're going to be talking about our top 5 most anticipated at Origins. As always, we're going to start with Ryan down there.
Special.
And I think all of these are going to be games, but Ryan, kick us off.
They are. Mine are all games.
Besides North Market.
Besides North Market, which if you're going to Origins, you need to check out North Market
And
because
Melt.
it's the best food.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Melt.
Melt.
But my number.
We're getting sidetracked
we are
already.
getting I'm already hungry for Melt. But my number 5 most anticipated game that I'm going to be seeing at Origins is the new edition of Talisman, and they're bringing two new licensed versions of
'Cause it's
Talisman,
Kingdom Hearts.
Batman and Kingdom Hearts.
Not together.
2 different ones.
Yeah.
And
combined.
one of the reasons I'm so interested in seeing this is because I don't understand how they're bringing these IPs to Talisman. Like, it doesn't seem
How or why?
the how. Like, it just doesn't seem like it fits the way that Talisman plays. Doesn't inherently feel like Batman or Kingdom Hearts. And those 2 things are so vastly different as well. So I'm really looking forward to getting a demo and just seeing how these parts come together and seeing what that final product really looks like.
We saw Batman Talisman at Gamma.
Yeah, and I
they
think
kind of walked us through some of the changes. They're actually making it very directional towards the IP itself. So they're changing some of the gameplay
Interesting.
to fit
So that's
you're
what
doing.
that's the kind of thing I wanted to see.
Batman's
is
actually the
interesting.
bad guy in that. So
Really?
you're playing
Yeah,
you're playing
that's
the bad
right.
guys,
That's
but
right.
neat.
Batman's the one who's hunting you down. It's pretty neat.
Interesting. That is a cool concept.
I've never played Talisman, so it'll be all new to me.
All right, my number 5 is called Skull Tales Full Sails. This was actually supposed to be for sale there from Van Ryder, but they've had a hiccup, and it's not going to be available now until Gen Con, unfortunately. I believe it was a Kickstarted game, and it is a 1 to 5 player semi-cooperative adventure game set in the Pirate Age.
This is a pretty big, meaty game,
It's
right?
giant. You play it in 3 phases. Each phase is a completely different game in and of itself. You have an adventure phase, then you have a journey phase when you're all on a ship together, and then you have a loot phase, which is basically you going back to port to be able to sell your goods off, have story elements, and you kind of repeat that through
that's
different
cool.
campaigns. So we've been in the campaign mood, so that kind of fits what we're doing.
It
right now.
looks gorgeous.
It looks
All
cool.
those components look fantastic.
And there's
Yeah.
a ton of them.
That looks really cool. Plus, they've been on a tear lately with all their really creative narrative stuff.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that should be pretty good. My number 5 is a game called Welkin, and this is from Ankama, and it is one of those collect colorful resources, fulfill contracts type of game. You know, Splendor, those types of games. But this one has a unique twist to it in that the middle board has the different colored resources with different two-sided tiles that represent all of the resources. And as you fulfill contracts, those contracts are going to tell you how to manipulate that almost like a stock exchange, if you will. So the values of those things change. So say if I fulfill a contract that has 2 green and a blue, when I fulfill it, the value in points is equal to the number of blue points that are out there and the number of green points that are out there. And then when you fulfill it, that changes. So now green points are less, or maybe green points are more. So you can actually
It's like a
fulfill
market almost.
Almost. It's like a market, and that doesn't change. So when you flip over a green one because it tells you to, it might be blue. Now blues, you put it over in the blue section, and the blue ones are more valuable. So if someone next to me hasn't fulfilled one that has blue on it, they're like, awesome.
Sounds like a planning, like really like a planning strategic.
It sounds like it
abstract
adds
kind of
an
game.
extra layer to that type of game, which will make it maybe a little bit more gamery.
Yeah.
I'm definitely interested in trying it. Those sorts of games usually are fun and then get a little old, but this one I'm interested. That's an extra layer that I like.
Cool.
So for me, this is one I played. I think other people might overlook it because it looks a little bit more on the younger side when you look at the box. It's called Draftosaurus. And
that
it is very cute, like very cute, but it's fun. Like you're building this little, well, you're drafting little dinosaur meeples and you're picking where they're going to go on the board for different point values. And it was, I don't know, I had a lot of fun playing it, and then we didn't even get a chance to play the other side of the board, which changes some of the dynamics of it. But it's like a little bit of planning going on there and the drafting out of the bag drafting system that they have, and it's a fun little game. And I think that you could play it with younger kids and everything, but I don't think it has to be played with kids to enjoy it for sure.
Also from Ankama.
Oh, is that?
And also from a huge list of popular designers. I know Anton Balza was involved.
Really?
Ludovic Moblog,
There's like
who's an
4 or
artist. like-
5.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're,
it's
it's like
designers
an
on that
all-star
one.
team. That almost
Yeah.
made my list
But is
too.
it's all just one game?
This is a very small game. It's a
Box
little
about
small
this big,
drafting
yeah.
game of dinosaurs. but-
Interesting.
Super,
fun.
super fun, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my number 4 is for sale, and this is kind of a weird one, but it's Ravnica Inquisition from WizKids, which is another game in their line of games based on Magic the Gathering. And I am a huge Magic player. I'm a huge fan of the Ravnica series and the storyline that goes in that. This is a social deduction game, and it's kind of like
Whoa.
your standard secret role game. You're either for the Dragon God Nicol Bolas, or you're for the Gatewatch, which are the good guys. The rules aren't out, so I don't know how it plays. Some of these games can be hit and miss, but for
Right.
example, Don't Mess with Cthulhu does this kind of thing very well.
Right.
And I love games like The Resistance. So taking that and putting this magic theme on it sounds really interesting to me. Now, I haven't played the game. I don't know how the actual rules are going to play out, but I am very excited to try it.
All right.
My number 4 is a game that we've actually just filmed a review for today. We're hoping that it's going to be in demo form there. We're not sure.
We
It's from-
think so.
Yeah, it's from North Star Games. It's actually out in Germany now. It's called Die Tavernen Tiefenthal, if I said that right. But the
I think so, close.
Tavern-
It's
the
going to be
Tavern
called
of
the Tavern of Tiefenthal. Yeah.
Whatever, however you
Tiefenthal.
pronounce it. Anyway, if they don't have it there, you can come find us because we're bringing our copy. I love the game. It's Wolfgang Warsch. It's my favorite Wolfgang game. It's the most gamering game of them all. It's an engine building game with some dice drafting and some very small amount of deck building.
Yeah,
but
for
it's
sure.
just really cool. It's got a really cool board that you are upgrading your tavern with, and a cool little action selection with your stuff. It's a super fun game.
Yeah, I will second that. If you are there and they're demoing it, or you see us playing it, come check it out and try to demo it if you can, because it's going to be a big one this year, I think.
Pretty sure we all love that game.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Love it. Like, want to play it again as soon as possible.
Yeah,
Kinda
it's all
love it.
over our
Yeah.
channel right
Yeah,
now.
it's on MVM Live,
Our
yeah.
review's up, and we did an MVM Live of it right now, too. So my number 4 is a game called Sanctum, and this is from CGE. I don't know too much about it, but it's from the designer who did Adrenaline, and it's got a fantasy theme. I don't want to go so far as to say this is fantasy-themed Adrenaline,
Looks like it.
because it does look a little bit like it, but and it's been a while since I played Adrenaline, but there's some dice in this one. It does claim to use the dice in a far more elegant way than just dice chucking, because you're using them on cards. It looks like you're going to be selecting dice maybe to potentially power these cards. The cool thing too is a lot of the monster cards have what looks to be their treasure or their loot on the back of their cards. So you're going to be fighting monsters and then flipping it over, and then you might have this flaming sword that gives you more power to use going
Purely
forward.
competitive, right?
It is competitive.
Yeah.
And like I said, I liked Adrenaline a lot. I think Adrenaline is kind of an underrated game.
I agree.
It doesn't get to our table that often, but it is an underrated game. And if this is fantasy Adrenaline and nothing more, I'm looking forward to trying it.
Cool.
Very cool. My number 4 is another one I have already played, but I'm excited because it's going to be available for people to check out. And if you like indie boards and cards, and you like the dystopian universe that a lot of their games, the Resistance and all those games live in, this is a new one, but it's got some different new mechanics called Among Thieves. And I've gotten a chance to play it a few times. It's kind of has this whole mechanism of you're like the heist master. Everybody gets a chance to be the heist master, and you're going and you're working to extort money from these big corporations, and there's 3 of them, and you're gathering your team and who you're going to take with you. And it's kind of funny because you can sit there and be like, all right, who's coming with me? And they all are trying to bid to be on your team because they want to get in on that loot, right? But you don't actually have to honor any of those agreements. And then when you announce who it is, so I can be like, Ryan, give me $1. And you'll give me $1 and I'll be like, all right, cool, I'm taking Jeremy.
Ooh, it sounds like good family fun.
Yeah,
Right.
super mean. I love that. It can be, and then I mean, there's a benefit. So then, once you guys decide to go on the heist, you all have to decide if you're going to be honorable or dishonorable. If everybody is honorable, cool, you're all going to get out with the loot. If you decide to be dishonorable, you take it all.
Ooh.
But you get dishonor, and that can hurt you at the end of the game. So the person with the most dishonor is automatically out at the end of the game. So it's really fun. It's different. It's a different twist on that universe that they've had. So
That does sound like
Yeah,
it's fun.
and that was it was the winner of the design challenge that they do at Geekway
That's right.
every year. It was
Oh.
their winner 2 years ago. It's always like 2 years delayed, so that's just now coming out
That's
from
cool.
that, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right. 3.
What's your
All right,
3?
my number 3, it's a little bit of a mouthful. It's Mystery House Adventures in a Box,
Oh my.
which is only available in demo form. I've seen the prototype of this game. It looks crazy. It's the box itself is the board you use to play the game, and when you lift the lid off, it's like you're looking down into this house, and there's all these different doors and paths and
Is this the one
things
from
like that.
Cranio?
Yeah, and this is from Cranio Creations, which they are not known for cooperative, story-driven, narrative, puzzle-solving games. Not only that, so I wanted to get this right. It's Antonio Tinto, who was one of the main designers for Agizia, also designed this game. So
Whoa.
bringing this huge amount of Euro cred into this narrative,
Interesting.
app-driven game, which they say is going to fuse technology and traditional board gaming in kind of a new and different way. So it's demo only right now, but all that interests me. I really want to see how this plays.
Is there imagery of that on?
You can see
line
an image
anywhere?
of the box, but
Just
it's
the front of the
just
box?
the inside.
Oh,
which is-
really?
but it's just a prototype, so it doesn't look. It doesn't
Sure.
look great. You know, it looks like a prototype, so
Sure.
you kind of got to keep that in mind. But,
Cool.
Yeah.
My number 3 is the exact same game, so you've pretty
Is it
much said
really?
everything I need to say. Yeah, so as you mentioned, Antonio did Agizia.
Yeah.
He's also doing Terramara, which is a new game coming up this year from Quinted Games, which looks really cool. We actually saw it at GAM. I'm not sure if you saw it
No,
when we were
I
walking
don't think
around.
I
It was
did.
sitting on the table, and I talked to one of the designers, and the box is, it's like a, I don't even know how to explain it.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like
like
a
a
bunch of
puzzle.
room. Yeah, and you're putting these cards inside of it, which are called like Enigma cards. And they all do something different. It is a fusion of the physical element of the game and then the app that's going to drive.
Do they have
some
the
of that.
app there?
No, they didn't have the app.
that's-
They were just showing the basic component of the game. The box actually comes with 2 different things. One of them is called the Family Portrait. The other one's called the Lord of the Labyrinth. And then of
These
course,
like
future
scenarios or?
Yeah, they're all scenarios, and then future expansions are going to build on that same component box that you have. So you'll be using that over and over, just with different cards. I get
Interesting.
a kind of an unlock vibe with it, and I've
Yeah.
been loving those games.
Yeah,
so I get kind
absolutely.
of the same escape room kind of feel.
Putting
to
a
it.
narrative storyline into
Sure.
like that is really exciting.
Yeah. All right.
Cool.
That's
Well,
pretty funny.
Enough of that. Mine isn't that game. My number 3 is Bunny Kingdom in the Sky. This was also one of my most anticipated for the year. This is actually going to be for sale at Origins, so I'm definitely going to be picking this thing up. It's an expansion for Bunny Kingdom. It was one of our favorite
Yeah.
games the year it came out. Great, great drafting game. In fact, of all the drafting games I played, this one is one of the most pure fun for just about anyone to introduce to drafting, because what you're doing with the cards is fairly straightforward on the board. Love the art. Just looking forward to more Bunny Kingdom. Another reason to get it back to the table, too. It's been sitting on my shelf far too long.
Right.
Mine is Space Gate Odyssey. I've talked about it before. I've gotten a chance to play it once. I would like to play it again. I know it's going to be at Origins. It's a beautiful game. It's really interesting. It's got really cool components, and you're building this. You're building your own little space station and colonizing it, and you're doing your best to build them not too long, and you want to make sure you're cutting off the airlock, so at the end of the game you don't have open airlocks and things like that. And you're going to these exoplanets, and you're putting your workers basically out there, your colonists, out onto these planets in order to gain those points and go. There's like 3 planets out. Once one's out, one comes in, and it's really interesting. And it's got just really I said this before, but these your little captain, or what are they called? They're not captains. They're your chief.
Little astronaut looking
Yeah,
guy.
these little chief astronaut
They fit
guys,
each
and
other.
they have like little suits that they wear to make them the chief engineers,
Yeah.
the engineers and the chief engineers. And I just think that's just really neat. And you have little robots that can stay in a place for you and help with that little build. It's kind of almost like a little engine building that's going on in there in order for you to get abilities. Because as you move around, if you have guys in one of the locations, all these different colored locations do different things. So if somebody goes there and takes an action, as long as you have guys there, you also get to take the action based on how many guys you have there. So the robots can stay behind and take a spot for a guy and get those actions for you. So it's just really interesting how it all goes together. I definitely did not do very well, but I instantly got it by the end, and I was like, gotta play again.
It's one of those games that can be played in two ways. You can play the easy mode, where you get this little tile that lets you rearrange your space station anytime, because it's super punishing. If you don't play with that, you have to optimize your space station, or you could get royally screwed in that game by not being able to optimize very well. And I
That's a
enjoy
good
that
idea
kind
to
of
have that
thing.
option.
Super
Sure.
fun.
Yeah.
All right, good choice too.
I went to number 2. My number 2 is another demo. This is for a game called Dawn Shade from Highborn Games.
Yeah.
And we saw this out at Grand Con in Grand Rapids, and this game looks incredible. It's a ton of different mechanics. There's like some worker placement, there's exploration, there's narrative, there's these meaty dice and poker chips that you're putting out in these locations. There's some town building that happens in it. There's just a lot going on, and everything looks very vibrant and very beautiful. And honestly, it looks like a ton of fun to play. We didn't get a chance to play it at Grand Con. We have talked to them about playing it at Origin, so I'm really excited about getting a chance to see it and play it. And it'll just be demo. I have no idea when the actual game is coming out,
Right.
but I think this is going to be one to keep an eye on.
All right, my number 2 is Lorenzo Il Magnifico, the card game. It's just going to be a demo for everyone. Already knows how much I love Lorenzo. I love Simone Luciani. He's also doing it with art from Clemens Franz, of course, again. It's an engine building where you're going to develop your faith in military tracks, trying to gain victory points. I don't know anything else about it. I haven't seen any art from it. We're going to sit down with them while we're there to hopefully play it, but I can't imagine not liking this game.
No, I hope it's different enough,
Sure.
a different enough experience to be something that you also, we get to the table alongside.
I'm sure it will
them.
be.
Yeah.
Well, like some other ones in the past, like the Castles of Burgundy card game with Castles of Burgundy, it's
That's
like you may as
true.
well play Castles of Burgundy.
Yeah, same amount of time. Same
Yeah,
amount
it's
of,
actually
almost
less of
more
a mess.
setup, Yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
So hopefully that's good. Yeah, I was going to put that on my list, but I figured you might be talking about it, so I didn't. My number 2, we've already talked about probably a few times here on Chit Chat. We've played it a ton, but I'm telling you this so that you can demo it, and that's Dwellings of Eldervale.
Oh, yeah.
This is a game that we fell in love with. Well, we played it back at Gamma for the first time, and we've gotten a prototype, and we've gotten a few more pieces of prototypes. We're gearing up to do a round 1 for it, which we really can't wait for because we're going to have some of the at least prototype format of some of what looks like their final components for that. This is worker. I mean, it does so many things, and it does so many things right. Like as we play it, it's like just a joy at how everything works there. So if you get a chance, visit Breaking Games and demo Dwellings of Eldervale, because I'm sure they'll be
there.
I'm sure they'll have a couple tables of it at least.
Yeah, this is going to be a hot one, though. I say, like, you should just go straight there if you want to demo it, because I guarantee there's going to be a line.
Yeah,
waiting
there
to
will be
play
a
it.
lot of people wanting to demo this one. It's been getting a lot of attention on social media.
Yep.
Absolutely. All right, so mine is Sierra West, and there's one main reason why this caught my attention. We saw you guys got to play it at Gamma.
Yep, yeah.
I kind of came in late. You guys were already playing. I got to see a little bit of how it worked. But the big thing is that it's Johnny Pack. Johnny Pack did Coloma, and I know Johnny, and he loves making Western themed games, and I think
Yes,
he
he
does a pretty
does.
dang good job at it. The next thing, and this is board and dice, and so it's going to be for demo. And I think a couple other things that really caught my attention about it were the fact that the setup in playtime for this game is under an hour, which I thought was pretty awesome for what is a Euro game.
Right.
It's got worker placement, it's got action programming, it's got, I think, some deck building to it.
It's got some
right?
interesting mechanics too. You're building a little pyramid in front of you and all that. It was very unique.
The little player board has all these things you're slotting things into, which I find that really satisfying. So it looked really neat. and it looked like you guys were really enjoying it. And so, and like I said, Johnny does a really good job with these themes. And so I'd like to see how it plays.
The other cool thing is it has 4 modules, so you can play with a different module to get different ways to score the game and different animals.
Oh, yeah,
that
that's
can
right.
come
I
out.
forgot about
like
that.
First
Super
class
cool.
that does that.
Yeah,
I
there's
love
all
when that
kinds- there's
happens.
4 different
Yeah,
modules
it's
that
similar
will
to that.
pass.
We only
Yeah.
played it with one, but they were telling us about some of the other ones that really gave sort of almost told like a different story or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that in a thematic way.
Yeah. All right.
All right, number one. So I'll preface my number one. Obviously, all these games that I've played before, I thought about putting on this list, but I wanted to put something I've never played, something I never even heard of. And it's rare for a game to surprise me, but this is called...
Are you making it up right now?
No, it's called Spy Master from Calliope. I had not heard of this game. I don't know anything about it, but it's from the same designer as Skulk Hollow, which was a game that I loved.
Really?
It looks super cool.
Yeah, it's like a spy game where you're trying to gather information and compete to control areas of a board to fulfill objectives and secret objectives.
I think he is actually making
No,
this
it's.
up.
I mean,
No,
he's
it looks.
not.
It
He's
is
not.
for
No?
sale. It is coming out. They just announced it, but it's going to be on sale at Origins, and it uses like
Are you
a.
sure it's on sale at Origins?
Yeah, that's what
Oh,
that's
that's
what BGG
See, now
says.
you're even questioning
I am
him.
questioning that.
So it has
gonna say
a
it's $1
unique,
next.
It's got that unique like.
I'm just
you,
kidding, I know it's
like
for
I
sale.
pick, you choose kind of thing, where like I divide them into piles, and every other player
Yeah.
gets to choose the pile. So like I like that idea, and it's mixed in with all these other different mechanics. So I really want to try this.
I have to admit, I didn't even get a close look at that on the list. Did you see that on the BGG
I,
list?
Yeah,
didn't
I
know what he's
wouldn't-
I couldn't even show
I
you what
wouldn't
the
have
cover
looked
looks like.
closer at
No
it if I
idea.
hadn't been from that same designer, because Skulk Hollow was so good.
My number one is called Abomination, the Heir of Frankenstein. And it is
Yeah.
a competitive strategic game for 2 to
I
4
was-
players. It is a worker placement game that's super macabre. Why are you laughing?
Because it was
He's
that was
so
so close to
excited.
my number one. I'm just glad
Ryan,
somebody asked
he's
it.
more excited about this than any of his
I know.
5, it seems.
So it's a set collection game, and it looks really, really cool. So Victor Frankenstein, who's the doctor, who everyone gets confused with the monster. He's already died, and there is a sea captain who is trying to kill the monster, which people call Frankenstein, but it's not Frankenstein.
Is this part of the storyline
Yes,
of
yeah.
Frankenstein?
So anyway, I'm getting there. I'm getting
Oh.
there. So Robert
painting
Walton
the
is
picture.
still alive, and he's trying to hunt down the monster, and you're trying to rebuild him through worker placement. And
Oh,
either you're
cool.
going to win by rebuilding the monster first, or having him kill the monster off. So it looks really, really unique. I love that it's super macabre, and it's just like a horror
Sounds
type
awesome.
looking game, and it's worker placement. So
Well,
I'm
the-
super excited.
So you're trying to do that against, you're playing against the game
don't
or
know.
something?
Yeah, you're
Oh,
playing against the
interesting.
game, but it is competitive.
Yeah.
The coolest thing I think to rebuild Frankenstein,
putting
you have
the
to
pieces together.
You have to go rob graves to get body pieces that decay over time. If you don't bring them back and attach them
Oh,
fast
that's
enough, you
cool.
lose them, which
That
is
looks
really
awesome.
That sounds
interesting.
Whoa,
super awesome.
what a dark twist on like resource management.
Right.
I love it.
It almost made it onto my list. I agonized over whether it should be.
Well, I definitely want to play.
Agonizing.
I have to say, I didn't know
Now I
about
wanna
it
see
until
it.
Jeremy was talking about
demo only,
earlier. It
unfortunately,
sounds
but
great.
It looks cool.
So my number one is not demo only, and this one we've had a chance to play, and we actually did a review up, which is up already, and that is Hadara from Z-Man Games, and this one is for sale, and this is another one, in fact, of the games that are going to be on sale, I would say I'd put money on this one for being one that goes out of stock quickly
Oh, yeah,
at
for
Origins.
Sure. For sure.
This is a joy to play. In some respects, it feels like one of those games I was talking about earlier where you're just sort of like building a city and it's very straightforward. You're drafting cards, but it's got some really interesting and unique mechanics and a board that works in a really interesting way in terms of where and when you can draft your cards. And then the cards that you don't choose come back and you can draft from those then later. Really, really cool game. Yeah. Hadara, definitely. If you look into it and it looks interesting to you, I would potentially make that one of your first stops if you want to buy it.
Yep.
Very
absolutely.
cool. So my number one, I literally wrote here just duh. Like I can't tell you how excited I am about this game.
Called Duh?
Sounds
No,
good.
it's Grim Masquerade. Like no kidding,
Okay,
this is
yeah.
on my
Oh,
list
yeah.
because
They just added that to the BGG list
it just
today.
showed up, and it's I've only had the chance to play it twice. Once at the Skybound retreat, and then once when they sent
Game
the
copy.
early copy to us, and there's so much to love about it. One, I love that universe to begin with. It's so wonderful, and the art comes to life thanks to the Cuddingtons. It's Skybound and it's James, and you know everything behind it is great, and the gameplay is really tight. And the main thing is I don't really love social deduction games. There are a handful out there I will enjoy playing, one of them being Don't Mess with Cthulhu. You guys turned me on to a long time ago, but this found that for me. Like, I want to play this game. It doesn't give me that turn off like a werewolf does or whatever. And so it's beautiful. It's wonderful. I love it. Everybody should check it out.
Yep.
We got to play a really early version of that. Do you remember, like,
It was a Harry
years
Potter
ago?
game
It was
before.
Harry Potter back then,
Yeah.
and I remember we told James, like, this game has to be made.
Yeah.
And it's exciting to see it.
So
Yeah, it's
good.
cool. I've only played it once, but it is a social deduction game that it gives you a fair amount of information. So this is not the kind of game where you're like taking a shot in the dark. You can kind of pick up, like, I'm pretty sure you're this character. And you're not just trying to figure out like one person at the table.
Right.
Everyone has a role, and you're trying to figure out what the role is, which is kind of cool.
Let's do a real quick round around the table because we have some announcements too that I know
Yeah.
that you want to get to. You go ahead and start what you've played this past couple
Pick
weeks.
one.
Well, obviously,
One thing.
One thing.
so everyone's going to say Die to Vernon,
Yes.
but I finally, for the first
Over.
time, played German railroads. I love
First time?
I love Russian railroads, but I never have used the German
Oh,
board.
yeah, German's better.
Wait, it is. I love the variability in the way the track lays, and if you haven't played Russian railroads, it's an old classic.
Have you played American?
Or use Google.
No, that's the
I've
deck. We're
never
going to play
played
that one
American
next
either.
week. So.
Okay. I'll talk about a not a cooperative. When I say cooperative, competitive deck building game that uses map. It's called Undaunted. I didn't really know much about the game. It's actually called Undaunted: Normandy.
Normandy.
So it's a World War II based game. It's a campaign game, meaning the more you play it, the more cards that get interjected into the deck. It's U.S. versus Germans.
Also a two-player, right?
It's two-player head-to-head, but it's really unique the way that they handle the cards. You'll be taking casualties to the game, which means deck cards will come out. They use Fog of War in a really interesting way. They're cards that will come into your deck from scouting or from other players doing recon or concealing against you. Those will clog up your deck. And you're actually using some of your cards to take initiative, to take your actions first, because turn order really, really matters on you trying to secure points in the game.
For sure.
And then, as I said, as you play the game more, I think there's 12 missions in the game. You start off with some just very basic cards, and then you'll eventually get snipers and mortars and machine gunners and all kinds of other types of things that add keywords that you're going to be able to use within the game. I love it simply for the fact that it's World War II, and there's not a whole lot of those that are really good, and this one I find to be exceptional.
Yeah, I played that with Jeremy today. It was our first time playing it. We just got it, like you said. It just kind of came to us, and we didn't know anything about it. The deck building is very tight.
Yes.
You know, this is not like a big, robust deck of cards, at least at the beginning in the first scenario. And it also feels like a chess match. You know, what you're playing on the table, and you're powering that with your deck building. And the initiative thing is probably one of the cooler things because it brings in sort of multi-use cards in that respect, because you get these cards. Obviously, the higher initiative cards are also the more powerful cards. But like you said, if you really want to go first, you're going to have to get rid of that general or whoever it is.
Yeah.
And take your turn. It was a very cool game. So I will to mention one. I can't remember if we mentioned this a couple weeks ago, but if we did, I'm going to mention it again. And that's the Unlock series. We just played the
So
newest
freaking
sets
good.
of Unlocks.
Oh my gosh.
And did we talk about the video
We haven't
game?
talked
think
about
so.
it. It's
No.
so good.
I don't remember
Yeah.
the name
It's
of the
so
video
good.
game
Insert
one.
coin.
Insert Coin. It is one of the 3 unlocks that come with the newest set of unlocks.
You gotta play it.
I will.
We love the Unlock
I will.
series. Almost all of them have been real crowd pleasers with us. I'd say the easier ones are. I like those
easier?
better.
Easier.
Well, we usually have a pretty good track record with the easy, and we consider ourselves somewhat smart. When you get to the difficult, a lot of those are. I don't think
There's some
we've
obscure stuff in there.
many
Yeah.
of them we haven't beat within an hour. So, but the Insert Coin, is that the easy one or is that the
Yeah, it's
middle
the
one?
easiest one, yeah.
It's the easiest one, but the theme of that is sort of like retro video games. I won't spoil any of it, but it's easily my favorite of all of the unlocks that have been released to date.
You can go ahead and say it. That uses technology in a really cool
It
way.
does.
Technology
It
is-
uses the app in a way that none of the other ones have used. And then on top of that, so I don't spoil it, I did also, because I enjoyed it so much, played the Wizard of Oz one, which I hadn't played from a couple releases ago.
Yeah.
With Elisha and my son, who never plays board games with me, and his girlfriend. The 4 of us played so that we could all take one of the 4 roles in it. Well, that's a bit of a spoiler alert, but it's a really good unlock too, although that one is far more challenging.
All 3 of
super
those now
challenging.
come in a single box.
Yeah.
Which
The
is
new
called the
set, yeah.
Adventures, so you can buy them all together
Oh, that's
now,
smart.
which is fantastic.
That's a good
Well, and
way
they
to
were
do
all
it.
great.
And all 3 of them are great. Yeah, all.
I
all
love
3 of them
Alice in
this time are really
Wonderland.
good.
I love Sherlock
Sherlock Holmes
Holmes,
ones
and
is
they
good.
were
Oh, yeah.
all very
Yeah.
thematic and really good, and they all did things and interesting with the technology.
Yeah, if you
Although
like-
Insert Coin, hands down, was the coolest as far as the technology
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah. Cool.
So, okay, for me, Die to Burn It. No, I have been playing solo Welcome to.
Oh,
Because I'm like been working a lot lately, and I've been needing to kind of unwind and not have someone to play with because it's been kind of late. And I have this little ottoman thing that turns into a table, and I just pop it up on top of my chair, put my feet up, and I got the play mat on there, and I've been trying all the different thematic ones, and I've struggled through a couple of them, but the new solo rules that they put in the Kickstarter, there's the base solo rules, which I started with, and then there's the new one, the AAA one. And it's really interesting how it works, and I find it just really satisfying to play. So surprisingly solo. It's such a wonderful game already, and the thematic boards are super cool. I love Halloween. That was the one I played the most recently. It's just a really satisfying
Still,
little
in
game
my
to
opinion,
play.
one of the best.
I think it might be my favorite.
I love Welcome to.
Yeah.
it's certainly one of the best ones with a theme.
I think Welcome to is going to just be a kind of an evergreen game. Like, people are going to be
there's so
playing
many
it.
themes they could,
yeah.
you know.
They can go forever.
You can just go
Yeah.
forever, and again, because it plays so well at different player counts, I mean, it just has a lot of, and I got the little dry erase boards, and I've got all the pads, and
Nice.
I figured out how to fit enough of them in the box so I can take them all with me, and it's just a nice little game. So that's what I've been playing.
Cool. Well,
Announcements.
Yes,
Yes.
that's what we've been playing. We've had a couple announcements. This whole
Origins-related
episode,
announcements.
this whole episode was about what we're anticipating in Origins. Two things that we're probably most anticipating in Origins. One, we are going to be lucky enough to be working with Gamma and Origins to host their awards show again this year. They're doing it a little bit differently. If you're interested at all, go check it out. I think you can get tickets for it still. They're changing the format a little bit, but yours truly are going to be hosting again, so if you're there, try not to heckle or laugh too much, but have a good time for sure. And then someplace you can definitely have a good time is the Mashup Meetup. This is where us, along with a number of our contributors who are going to be in town for Origins, along with Blue Peg, Pink Peg, and the Brawling Brothers, we have a thing going on called the Mashup Meetup Thursday night at Callahan's. I think it starts at 6 o'clock p.m. Callahan's is this bar just kind of like right across the street from the convention center.
Really close.
Last year was a blast. If you don't believe me, I'm sure there's pictures circulating on the
There's
internet that you can
definitely
check out. There's videos. There's, I think, a classic moment between Christina and
Rob?
Isaac.
Christina and Isaac.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Isaac Childress of Cephalophair really got down, and I think they've immortalized that.
Dance off, not got down.
Yes. Got down on the dance floor
Got down
is
on-
what I
these are
meant.
old terms,
But
old man
they've
terms.
immortalized that with a Gloom Raven T-shirt where they're dancing. So anyway, the Mashup Meetup is Thursday at 6 p.m. at Callahan's. Please join us there if you'd like. We're going to be giving away games and just having a blast. And as always, check us out on the next episode of Chit Chat, and check us out on all of our social medias, and we'll see you next time. Well, that's another episode of Chit Chat in the bag. Thanks for watching. If you want to check out another one, there's probably one right over here in the bottom left-hand corner, or probably your right-hand corner. Whatever corner, we have something to click on. So click on one of these things and good things will happen.